A few years ago, a man in his early 50s walked into my office looking like the definition of fine. He wasn't sickly, he wasn't frail, he wasn't even dramatically overweight, just a little softer around the middle, like someone who sits at a desk all day and tells himself he'll start taking health seriously once things calm down. He had a high-pressure career, a packed calendar, a brain that never stopped solving problems, and a body that, at least on the outside, seemed to be cooperating. No big complaints, he told me, just tired sometimes. Stress, you know. Then I looked at his lab work, and the labs told a story his mirror couldn't. His fasting blood sugar was high, his A1C was creeping into dangerous territory, his insulin was elevated, his triglycerides were up, the pattern was clear, his body wasn't fine. It was quietly turning into a metabolic pressure cooker. Here's the scary part, he had no idea. Because insulin resistance doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives like rust, slow, silent, unnoticed, until one day the engine seizes. So I told him something most people don't hear in a short appointment with a rush doctor. I said, you can turn this around, and we're not starting with pills. We're starting with food. Not because medication is always evil, not because doctors are villains, not because biology is simple, but because, in his case, the root problem wasn't a missing drug, it was a daily pattern. His body was getting the wrong signals over and over, and it was adapting exactly the way a survival machine is designed to adapt. So we built a plan that wasn't complicated. No obsession, no calorie math, no misery. Just a foundation of 10 staple foods, real foods, paired with a lower carb approach and a shorter eating window that fit his life. And within a few months, something happened that still makes me smile when I think about it. His energy came back first, like someone turned the lights on behind his eyes. Then the cravings softened. Then his weight started shifting without him feeling like he was wrestling a tiger every day. And when we repeated his labs, his numbers had changed so dramatically it looked like someone swapped his chart with a different person's. Same man, same life, different trajectory. And that's what we're talking about today. The power of eating foods that work with your body instead of against it. Not magic foods, not superfoods in the marketing sense. Just the kind of foods that send the right messages. Steady fuel, lower inflammation, better satiety, healthier metabolism. We're going to go through 10 foods, not in any particular order, that make a powerful foundation. And as you listen, keep one idea in mind. These foods don't just add good stuff. They also replace the stuff that quietly ruins health. Ultra-processed foods, added sugars, refined starches, and harsh industrial seed oils that dominate modern diets. Alright, let's begin. The first food, extra virgin olive oil. I call it liquid gold, and not because it's trendy, but because it's one of the most reliable upgrade switches you can flip in your diet. Extra virgin olive oil is a cornerstone of the Mediterranean eating pattern, and populations that traditionally use it generously tend to show better cardiovascular outcomes overall. Is olive oil a miracle? No. But compare it to the alternative many people consume daily. Highly processed vegetable oils made from seeds. Heated, refined, bleached, deodorized. Oils that are easy to overeat and can tip the balance toward inflammation in some people. Extra virgin olive oil is different. It comes from fruit. It contains natural compounds, polyphenols, and other plant chemicals that help protect the oil itself and may support the body's antioxidant systems. And here's what I love about it in real life. It makes healthy eating satisfying. It turns a bowl of vegetables into something you actually want to eat. It makes protein taste better. It's a bridge between this is healthy and this is delicious. If you want one practical rule, use extra virgin olive oil like it's a real food. Drizzle it on salads, vegetables, and cooked dishes after cooking, and choose quality when you can. Now the second food, grass-fed beef liver. This one scares people. The word liver makes half the room lean back like I just offered them a bucket of swamp water. But liver, when sourced well, is nature's original multivitamin. It's dense, it's concentrated, it's packed with nutrients your body uses for energy production and repair, like vitamin A in its active form, B vitamins, and highly bioavailable iron. And why does that matter? Because your health is not just what you do at the gym, your health is what every cell is doing at 2 a.m. when you're asleep. It's your mitochondria producing energy, it's your liver processing compounds, it's your immune system running background checks, it's your body repairing tissue you didn't even realize you damaged. Liver supports the foundation of that. Now I'm going to say this clearly, you don't need huge amounts. This is not a eat liver daily kind of speech. Many people do well with small portions occasionally, or they use it in ways that make it easier, like blending small amounts into ground meat. And yes, sourcing matters. The liver is a filtering organ, so choose quality when possible. Third food, fermented vegetables. If you want to understand fermented vegetables, think of them like an ecosystem tool. Your gut isn't just a tube, it's a living environment, a rainforest, a city. And in that city, you want more helpful citizens and fewer troublemakers. Fermented vegetables, like sauerkraut, kimchi, fermented pickles, bring beneficial microbes and fermentation compounds that can support the gut environment. They're not magic, and they're not necessary for everyone, but they can be a powerful addition if your digestion tolerates them. And when the gut environment improves, a lot of downstream things can improve too. Digestion, inflammation balance, immune signaling, and even how you respond to certain foods. Plus, fermented foods do something modern diets rarely do. They bring complexity, they bring depth, they remind your body what real food tastes like. Fourth food, garlic. Garlic is the perfect example of flavor that pulls double duty. Because yes, garlic makes food taste incredible, but it also contains sulfur sulfur compounds that have been studied for potential benefits involving circulation and microbial balance. Garlic supports that kitchen medicine tradition cultures all over the world discovered long before nutrition labels existed. And I'll tell you my personal bias. When a recipe calls for 1 clove, I treat that like a suggestion from someone who's afraid of happiness. I'm not telling you to eat garlic like it's a dare, but if you want to build a healthier diet, learning to make simple foods taste amazing is not optional. It's the difference between lasting change and the "I tried for 2 weeks and quit" trap. Fifth food, nuts and seeds. This is a whole category, and no matter which one I pick, someone will say, why not the other one? So here's the idea. Nuts and seeds can be a powerful tool because they tend to be high in fat, fiber, and minerals, while relatively low in sugar, especially compared to modern snack foods. They can stabilize appetite, they can help you go longer between meals without feeling like your stomach is staging a protest. Some favorites people commonly do well with: walnuts, pecans, macadamias, seeds like chia, flax, hemp, pumpkin seeds. And a quick note, portion matters. Nuts are nutrient dense, but that also means it's easy to mindlessly eat 1,000 calories while watching a show. Use them intentionally, like a supportive snack or topping, not an unconscious bucket of crunch. Also, one special mention, Brazil nuts. They're extremely rich in selenium. That can be useful, but don't turn it into a hobby. 1 or 2 can be plenty for many people. Sixth food, pasture-raised eggs. Eggs are one of the most complete, practical foods on the planet. They're affordable relative to what you get. They're versatile, they're satisfying, and they contain key nutrients like choline, which supports brain and nerve signaling, plus fat-soluble vitamins and a protein profile that's incredibly useful for the body. Pasture-raised eggs often have a better nutrient profile than eggs from stressed birds in cramped conditions, but do the best you can. If you can get higher quality eggs, great. If not, eggs can still be a powerful foundation food. And here's an important metabolic detail. Eggs are satiating. Satiation is not a bonus, it's the whole game. Most people don't fail because they don't know what healthy is. They fail because their plan leaves them hungry, and hunger eventually wins. Eggs help quiet that battle. Now, before we hit the last 4 foods, I want to zoom out for a second, because this is the real lesson. What do these foods have in common? They're real. They're minimally processed. They look like something you could recognize without a label screaming at you. That matters because ultra-processed foods often remove nutrients, distort signals, and make it easy to overconsume calories without satisfaction. A weird but useful rule is this: if a food can sit on a shelf for 2 years and still taste the same, there's a good chance it's missing a lot of what your body is actually asking for. Real food is inconvenient. It spoils. It requires you to do something with it. But that inconvenience is often a sign you're holding something alive enough to nourish you. Another big thing these foods have in common, they tend to fit well with a lower carb approach. And let's be clear, carbs are not automatically evil. Vegetables are carbs, berries are carbs, some dairy has carbs. The problem is refined sugar and refined starch. Foods that hit the bloodstream fast, spike insulin easily, and keep people stuck in a cycle of cravings and energy crashes. For many people dealing with insulin resistance, weight gain, high triglycerides, or unstable appetite, lowering those refined carbs is a turning point. Now let's finish the list. 7th food, berries. Berries are what I call nature's compromise. They give you sweetness without turning your day into a sugar roller coaster. They're rich in fiber and plant compounds that support antioxidant balance, and they tend to be lower in sugar than many other fruits, especially compared to fruit juice or dried fruit. Blackberries, raspberries, blueberries. These are easy winners for many people. And they're a powerful psychological tool too, because they allow you to keep pleasure in your diet. You don't have to eat like a robot to be healthy, you just need better options. 8th food, salmon, especially wild-caught when possible. Salmon is famous for omega-3 fats, and those fats matter because they're part of what your cell membranes are made of. Your cells are not just blobs, they're high-tech structures with receptors, tiny antennae that respond to hormones and signals. When cell membranes are healthier, those receptors tend to function better. And one set of receptors everyone cares about, whether they know it or not, are insulin receptors. Again, no single food fixes everything, but a diet that includes fatty fish regularly, while reducing the flood of industrial seed oils, can help shift the internal environment in a healthier direction for many people. 9th food, avocados. If you told me I could keep only one plant food on an island, I'd strongly consider avocados. They're creamy, they're satisfying, they're rich in monounsaturated fat, they're high in potassium, they contain fiber that supports gut function and helps smooth out blood sugar spikes. They're one of the most metabolically friendly plant foods for many people because they give you satiety without a sugar hit, and they're incredibly flexible, on salads, with eggs, in bowls, even blended into sauces. 10th food, non-starchy vegetables and leafy greens. This is the part where people get confused. They hear low carb and think, so no vegetables? No, the problem isn't the carbohydrate in vegetables. The problem is the refined sugar and starch. Non-starchy vegetables and leafy greens are mostly water and fiber, with a huge amount of micronutrients and plant compounds that support the gut, antioxidant balance, and the liver's natural detox pathways. And they're practically impossible to overeat in the way people overeat chips, cereal, bread, and sweets, because they don't hijack the reward system the same way. The goal isn't to fear carbs. The goal is to stop living on carbs that behave like pure glucose bombs. Now let's bring it back to that patient. When we built his plan, we didn't do it with obsession. We did it with strategy. We used foods that lowered the hunger noise, stabilized his energy, supported his his metabolic markers and made it easier to eat in a way his body could actually handle. We tightened his eating window, not as punishment, but as a way to give his body time to use stored fuel instead of constantly refilling the tank. We lowered the refined carbs, not because carbs are evil, but because his metabolism was already showing signs of being overwhelmed. And we replaced the modern inflammation drivers with real foods that are stable, satisfying, and nutrient-dense. That's the big takeaway. It's not just about adding healthy foods, it's about building a foundation that crowds out the junk, because the junk is what drives the inflammation, the insulin resistance, the energy crashes, the cravings, and the slow drift toward chronic disease. So if you want a simple starting point, here it is. Pick 3 of these foods and bring them into your week consistently. Then pick one thing that's hurting you: sugary snacks, refined grains, fried seed oils, and reduce it. You don't need perfection, you need direction, because the body is always listening. And when you give it the right signals long enough, it doesn't just lose weight, it changes course. And if you want more videos that break health down in a practical way, foods, habits, and strategies that actually work with real life, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, and stay tuned for the next one.